I think I'm live. Let me know if you're there. Welcome. So I've just been filming. Just putting these comments on. Hopefully I'll see your comments. I don't know. But I'm Sarah Jane. I am in the Yoga Pilates place just now, TYPP in Glasgow, and I've just been filming on this thing behind me. This is the Reformer Tower. So I wanted to just show you around a little bit. So maybe you come to sessions at TYPP, or maybe you have a reformer at home. We have these on demand, so you can do our classes no matter where you are in the world. So let's show you around and maybe debunk stuff. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask. I'm actually on a few different places. We're on YouTube and a couple of different Facebook groups. So I'm just going to check, is the sound okay? I filmed something earlier which was really annoying and the sound wasn't on. That was fun. Spot my sarcasm. So I'll see if I can just jump up here and see, make sure we're on. So let's have a wee look. I can see myself, it's always weird. Yep, and I can hear myself. Right, great. So if you have any questions, hit me up. I'll do my best to answer them. Right, so we are based in Glasgow, in Kinning Park, and we're a comprehensive Pilates studio. That basically just means that we don't just teach Pilates on the mat. So Pilates named after Joseph Pilates. If you'd have went to Joseph's studio in New York, you would have been on a machine that looks like this. And this looks like a reformer, but there's extra attachments on this. So you can see here, there's almost like one end of a 4-poster bed on these ones. And it can sometimes be a little bit daunting for people they come in and think, goodness gracious, what is all that, SJ? It does look a little bit scary, but actually the machine for beginners is an excellent place to start. It's also an excellent place for very advanced participants. The things you can do on these are intense and very rewarding. But for a beginner, what this really does for you is it supports your body. Amazing for rehabilitation. So I myself, I'm an MSK podiatrist, so I primarily work with patients who have biomechanical issues. They've got stuff going on, maybe lower back issues, knees, hips. Anyway, they've got lots of movement problems, and this is a big part of the rehabilitation work that I do with them, always daily. You can't see just now, but through there I've got a big clinic room, and I've got one of these in the clinic room. So even in a one-to-one setting, I have patients on the plinth, maybe doing some manual therapy with them, and then they're coming on to a tower or reformer to do some rehabilitation work as well, movement stuff. So they really are excellent. So don't think to yourself, oh my goodness, I'd need to get fit before I could do this. Actually, this is the place that we would start you as a beginner. Mat work is actually extremely difficult to do in understanding your body. However, mat work has its place as well. Very important. Right, so I just thought a wee bit of introduction and a little bit about what kind of stuff we do in TYPP. So as I said, we're at Kinning Park. We are just behind the BBC, so just off Finnieston over the Squinty Bridge. And we are just above, we're based on Portman Motors, and we're just above Hydropool Scotland. Sells all your big fancy spas. We're just above that. And we have a big reformer studio. So this room next door to me has it's the larger classes. When I say larger, there's a maximum of 8 people in them. So they are your group reformer classes. We also do mat classes as well. So these will be going on the timetable. Given COVID, they'll be back on the timetable. We're looking at August. And then we're also looking at kind of hybrid classes as well with a mix of reformer and mat. So that all happens next door in the big room. This space that we're in here is, there's this machine here that you can see, and then behind me here there's 4 more machines that look like this, and this is where our one-to-one sessions happen, where our small semi-private sessions where there's a maximum of 4 clients. And we also have what we call our replay sessions. So if I just kind of give you an idea of what that is. So when people come in to the studio, we have something that kind of looks like this. So this is where our pre-recorded things. So you can come in and book a time. So if you're a member with us, or you're using class passes or something like that, so you can't see that just now, but essentially it's a tablet and our pre-recorded reformer sessions are in there. We'll get everything from yoga to Pilates to, everything that you can imagine. So in there, you can come in almost like you were going to a gym and do a particular reformer session on our reformers. It's done in this room that you're in here, and there's an individual station at each machine. I know you can't see that there, but it looks like that. You've got a wee set of headphones and you can do your own workout. Now, what I would say is that you can't just come in as a beginner and do that. You do a beginner's course with us. We have a 4-week beginner's course where you come as a newbie to the reformer and you go through that. That's usually on a Wednesday night. The July course is full. The next one, I believe, is 5th of August. It's on the website, so typp.co.uk. And there's a maximum of 6 people we take on those courses. So usually once a month we run them, but you can also do that course in a one-to-one setting as well. So just check the details of that on the website. In terms of this stuff though, this is done in semi-private. So there's a maximum of 4 clients that come into these sessions if you are doing this in a group setting. And essentially, if I show you, so for example, down here there's springs. I'll show you some moves. And we'll do some legs and straps. That's always a fun one. So we'll use the tower. So for those of you that are maybe familiar with the reformer, you maybe haven't been on this and you're thinking, oh my God, what is that, SJ? Essentially, you're going to be double loaded, right? So springs. So when you're working on the reformer, you're working against the resistance of springs. Now, the beauty of that, certainly from a rehab, and for those of you maybe thinking more aesthetics, is you are working the muscles through the lengthening phase, right? Which is called the eccentric contraction. So from a rehabilitation perspective, we're gold standard there. So for rehab, amazing. But from a lengthening and strengthening your body, aesthetically pleasing, many of you will enjoy that. So what you've got here though, so those of you that do reformer with us, you're just spring loaded down here. So springs down here. But when we use the tower, we're going to be doubly loaded. So let me show you. So if I get into this, so essentially I come down, I lie down, I push myself back. I've got springs down here that I have to control. And then if I pop my leg into this, I usually put my ankles through it. And then I let the springs just hold me there. And then other ankle round. And I've got these on here as well. We can use these for other things. So essentially I've got legs and straps, okay? So you squeeze your legs together, you're going to take legs down and up. So I keep my sacrum nice and low, shoulders are back and down. And I'm essentially just controlling the springs from this end here, but also I have to control the carriage. It's actually really, really hard. And if I go into leg circles, right, I've got to really control that. I can't just let that happen, right? I'm totally just going to crash and burn. I've got to really resist against the springs. This honestly feels like medicine. And many of you might be like, what is that, SJ? Oh, okay. And then some of the other things we do in here is like things like frogs, really great for pelvic stability. So really getting that out and controlling it. And many clients find this really difficult, even just on the reformer. The feet are going, the legs are all over the place. They've got no pelvic stability, which basically means when they're walking, they wonder why they've got a sore back. Okay, they're like, well, because your pelvis is, you've got no control over your pelvis. Okay, you've got no strength there. There's lack of stability. So that's a kind of the idea of some of the things that we do. So if I take myself out of that, so it's quite easy to navigate. Obviously, I've done this for years, but it's not as scary, maybe as it looks. Bring the carriage in, and I stand myself up. Now, from there, another really nice one. Is there any questions? I better check if there's any questions. If there are any questions, just let me know. So I'll move on to the pull down. So this one here, this has got a lot of grit. It's got a lot of weight into it. So I'm loaded from here and I'm getting pulled from here. So I've got to be careful. So when I come on, right, I'm going to move. So as I set myself up, draw my shoulders down, I'm here. What I love to do with this is take this into hips extended, really opening up through the hips and into a back bend, and then bring the hips down, scoop the belly in, come forwards, opening up through the shoulders and the chest, restacking through the spine, rising up, pushing forwards with the pelvis into that extension through the hip, keeping the glutes engaged, taking ourselves back. You don't need to do this all the way back. Not everybody can. Some people feel dizzy when they do this. So if you do, we would just keep you forwards. We would just adjust. And just bring the hips down. Oh, holy God. So good. If only you could get this feeling through your computers and phones. Then you bring it forwards. Oh, just easing through that. So this is just an idea, giving you an idea of some of the things. From here also, when I draw this down, what I'm doing is I'm really changing the pressure, that intra-abdominal pressure here. So massively, I feel my core switch on, right? The springs really help you. You know that way when you're maybe in a class and somebody said, okay, engage your core, draw your pelvic floor up. You're like, what does that even mean? It's like trying to teach you how to wiggle your ears. How do you do that? You just feel it here, right? So you're up, you're on, you're in, good posture, tailbone tucked under. You're inhaling, exhaling, you draw down, boom, my core's on, right there. It's like, it's on fire, okay? That is intense. I know you can't feel that, but honestly, just that. And then from here, there's a million things we can do, okay? So whether it be shoulder work, whether it be mobility work, whether it be opening up through the hips, some back bends, whatever it may be, okay? Really working through and just getting the spine moving. Amazing, okay? So to safely dismount that, I would just take my leg off to the side and bring the carriage in, okay? But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of, I mean, it's not as scary as it looks, okay? There's so many amazing things we do with this. Another thing that I love to do with clients, so I specialise in biomechanics, human movement, and a lot of dysfunction starts with the feet. So a big thing that I see in clinic a lot is that people come in and maybe get knee problems or lower back. Lower back is just, I think I would probably put a figure on it, 1 in every 3 patients I see is lower back pain. And many of the times the back isn't actually the root cause of the problem. Honestly, like most of the patients that I see in, the back wasn't the initial issue. It's usually a pain output because there's an issue somewhere else. And unfortunately what happens, generally in the medical model, what we do is we tend to focus on where the pain is. And well, we're not doing anybody any favours there. So my approach is always very different in that I treat a whole body approach. So I very much assess that person from whole body, how they move, how they're functioning, and almost like reverse engineer, like, well, where are things breaking down, and then work on them. And usually it's around ankle, not enough motion at the ankle, the feet are just put in shoes and forgotten about, so they're not functioning. And that has an effect on all your biomechanics all the way upstream. Usually the load goes to the knees. So if you've got issues with your knees, maybe you've got knee osteoarthritis, usually the problem hasn't been the knee. It's usually around the ankle and the foot, or it's come from the hips. So it's getting that kind of hip movement, hip stability, but also downstream as well, so down at the ankles and feet. So this one I love because it puts the foot into, you're getting this mobility, so a kind of manual mobility, taking the foot into a fantastic dorsiflex position. So what I mean by that is when you're walking, your foot has to do certain things, right? And if it doesn't do it, then the force has to go somewhere else, right? So essentially, if you're not able to move your ankle joint or your foot in particular ways, you'll still ambulate, you'll still move, you'll not even notice that there's a problem. It's just when you then get mechanical issues elsewhere, and it's usually your knee or your hips, your lower back where you get that. So this, from a kind of ankle, knee, hip is, I love this. So this one, what we'll do is we use this, and many clients always say, Sage, I feel as I'm going to catapult out, because there's a lot. I mean, honestly, this is heavy. My heels stay down, right? And what I do is I come down into this sort of position, right? So I'm really taking myself into, I'm getting this mobility of that kind of ankle joint dorsiflexion. So I'm easing it out, and then I'm just moving. It's almost like I'm getting into this skiing position, and I'm using the force, and I'm turning. So even from here, I can feel this in my quadratus lumborum. So for those of us with kind of lower back problems, we can really get and work into that fascia. So we're doing from the feet to the ankles to the knees to the hips to the lower back here. And obviously your arms and stuff as well are getting a lovely bit of traction and release through. You're probably getting kind of serratus anterior, and your lats are getting a good release too. But lovely. And then we can take it into all sorts of release from there. So really getting into that ankle joint motion, getting the knees functioning, getting the hips moving, and getting into that kind of pelvis and releasing any tightness. Because usually when you've got dysfunction around your feet, knees, these sorts of area, usually your pelvis takes the brunt. Usually you get this kind of motion of your pelvis. It might not look quite as big as that, but you get this, what's called possibly a Trendelenburg gait. And you just, your back will just be raging with you, and you think the problem's your back. Might well be your back, but it might be nothing to do with your back. But you generally, what you end up getting is that kind of sacroiliac lower back, across your lower back pain. Just get this constant motion, and then all up here, usually the muscles in your lower back start doing the work of what your glutes should be doing. So you can sometimes end up with this kind of like tightness through the quadratus lumborum, that kind of lower back, and the QL tends to really pull and shift everything up. So it just goes into like spasms, and it's just raging. It's just raging at you. So a lot of the time, actually working downstream and really getting the mechanics working better offloads the force. Everything's physics, so it's you're offloading where those forces go and how your body moves. Anyway, that was a bit long-winded, wasn't it? So yeah, essentially, from a kind of rehab perspective, it's like, wow, it's really great. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what happens in this strange-looking room. It is a wee bit odd-looking, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of a taster of what happens here. If you are interested in finding out more or doing something, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're maybe somebody who's struggling with injuries, chronic, just, you know, those injuries that you just can't get past. And I'm there with, I've got a hip injury, and it's so debilitating. Please don't put up with it. We're here. We are a group of professionals that really strive to give our patients or give our clients the best that there is. And yeah, we massively take pride in that. We are very, very good at what we do. So in terms of if you're finding that you're getting pain in your body, book in, get a biomechanical assessment, get a biomechanical and partial assessment. If you go to the website and you go into the kind of clinic area, it'll tell you all about that and what that entails. Because what that would do is, it's like a big puzzle. It would allow that proper assessment, not just, it might be that, just come and get a sports massage or something. That's not going to cut it. It's like giving you a painkiller just to mask it. So let's actually get some answers. Let's do some investigations. Let's see if we can get a proper diagnosis. And then let's get a management plan. Then let's just say, yeah, you'll need this. Or yeah, you need to mobilize this. Yeah, you need to strengthen this. Where we come from an educated perspective rather than just giving you a little plaster for it, if that makes sense. So hopefully that does. Right, I will sign out. I don't think there's any questions, although I don't know, because can't post comments to some destinations. I don't know what that means. So it's no letting me post comments, whatever that means. Not that I was trying to post a comment anyway. So anyway, I hope you're all enjoying your Thursday. I should say while I'm on here, for those of you that come in here, we are going to be opening back up on a Friday for classes. How exciting. We have only been operating 3 days a week since the craziness of COVID. And So we're slowly getting ourselves back into a bit of normality. I don't even know what normal is anymore. But yeah, so there's going to be Friday morning classes going on, which we're really excited about. Clinic is now open on a Friday as well. That wasn't last week we opened that, so that's now doing really well. I think we've got one appointment available tomorrow for that, so that's great. So we're on that, and also we are recruiting. So we are doing a big recruitment drive. So if you know any fantastic physiotherapists, sports therapists, or anybody that is interested in learning, tell them to get in touch, because really for us, we kind of hire on. Your qualifications are important, but they're not the most important thing. Right? You need to have your base there. Right? There needs to be a base, but more importantly, there needs to be a thirst to learn. And if you have a thirst to learn and the right attitude, then you're right for us. So if you have a thirst to learn and the right attitude, and you are like, you want to be in a supportive, professional environment, then get in touch, because that's who we want. All right. I will sign out. I think there's some people there, but I'm so sorry. I cannot see your comments. I'm on a different thing, so I'm doing this through StreamYard. But I'll sign out. If you have any questions after the replay, just pop them up. We'll do our best to answer them. But reach out, just jump onto the website. I'll put the details of the website in this once I go off live. All right, I'll speak to you all later. Bye.